Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio. You are about to join a frequency that will open your mind, expand your heart, and activate your spirit. Thank you for joining Kelly Meehan, Spirit Baby Medium and Master Energy Therapist. Kelly believes in the power of the Spirit Baby. She speaks with babies in spirit before life, in the womb, and after life. She supports, teaches, and guides others to tune into the intuitive and mystical parts of life for greater wisdom. Join her in meeting your soul baby and build your connection and relationship with deep love and trust. Welcome to Spirit Baby Radio with your host, Spirit Baby Medium, Kelly.
Welcome to episode 73, November 8th, 2019, Spirit Baby and Your Body, the Physiology of Your Energy Consciousness. What does your energy field share with you? How do you listen deeply without constriction or attachment? How can your own wisdom guide you into self-healing for fertility, pregnancy, and birth loss? I love this. The energy consciousness, your amazing human body. I feel like it's anatomy of the soul. You know, your body cannot operate, right? Your body cannot operate, your muscles, your skeleton, your blood flow, the way your heart pumps, the way the organs are all working. It's such a mystery. We don't know. We don't have to know every moment, right, what's happening in our bodies, but it's good to connect and feel in different energies that are happening without having to be that specific. You can get very specific, but our bodies cannot operate without our soul or our spirit. That is our main source of light. That is our fuel. And that is the part of us that creates that action. And I do feel like there's something powerful in that. As I said, the amazing human body, anatomy of your soul. And our body is divided into all these different systems, and the systems of science, I should say. Science is just that one piece of evidence or connection of curiosities, of understanding this life experience, that we have these levels of intelligence within us. And sometimes I feel like we're not that intelligent on many different ways, but there is a level of intelligence happening, and how our bodies are informed by that certain level of intelligence, by our own soul self, our higher self, our spirit self, that allows the rest of us to create unity, to create homeostasis, to create balance and imbalance. And of course, there'll always be the great divide between the mysticism and the world of science. And we know with quantum theory and epigenetics and all these different fields of science coming together, I feel like it's trying to interweave in there the mystical pieces, but I kind of like that, actually. How is it being weaved in? Because they both work with each other. They're not just, well, it's just this one side or it's just that one side. It's really weaving, and to me it reminds me of weaving light through this other kind of level of consciousness into the cells of our being. And, you know, in this mystery, in this great mystical and science self, where is the healing? Where is the curing of the incurable? Or the fertility for the infertile. We hear this word a lot, of infertility. And a lot of women I do see, I've heard also through messages, I've worked with women that were considered infertile, that have moved on to be fertile and conceive children, babies, not just one child. Not to say that you have to deny or hold to a certain label, but that's a choice. I know this one woman, she called it I. I was diagnosed with I. I was like, what's I? Oh, infertility. But she had a lot of charge and energy for her in that word. And again, a word, an energy, a connection. So there's a choice in receiving that or not receiving that diagnosis. And reminding ourselves, of course, that we are conscious beings. This is the interesting, of course I want to say for many, many years, there's conscious studies and what does this mean, and Buddhism and other philosophies, transcendental meditation. I feel like there's so much more. I'm probably just kind of leaving out with just the things that are popping in my head, how to bring in that mindfulness, right? This is where everyone talks about that mindfulness. How do you bring that into the energy consciousness and your own physiology? And even what do I mean by that? Because I do feel like if we are energy purely and our energy fields hold our stories and reflect in our physiology. And so this is where I feel like it comes into, how then do you incorporate not just this thought process of what does this mean? And, I have this physical response, and how does my body respond to that? And I do feel like that's really important. And you probably hear a lot about the brain. People talk about the brain. And, I'm no scientist. I'm no biologist or chemist. I want to say I'm an energyist. I don't know if that's really even a word. But I'm someone that sees within other worlds, just sees within the mysticism in a really deep way. And, I've learned anatomy. I did that in college. I've learned all these different things. And I'm like, okay, they're just a part of the process. And, I do want to, of course, see how it really does affect us in so many ways. But I feel like many of us are very just intuitive, that we know things. Even maybe you read something, you read these hard, intense data and research around the energy and the science, and you're like, oh, I already knew that, but I didn't know that's what that was, right? I didn't know how to quantify it into cells and neurons, like, oh, yeah, that's my experience. And there's something to say about that, too, as well. But I do feel like, again, we are these conscious beings having these experiences, and that our bodies do hold a certain vibration, right? Vibration, our energy field has story in it. It has stories from childhood, from infancy, even from before this time, this lifetime. You can have many lifetimes really stored into your energy field of consciousness, and how your soul self plays it out. It plays it out in this new body, in this new human suit, and this new life that you're willing to work with and connect with, to grow, to just see what is this whole thing about. There's, again, a huge level of mystery. We only kind of know from near death experiences where people have lived and died, and so there's some information there, great information actually, and a whole other podcast to really dive into what does it mean to move into life and death in that way. And of course, our conscious body holds conscious things that we're aware of, and then we have an unconscious part of our body that kind of reacts and moves, and of course then we have our subconscious part of us, again, the stories, the emotional experiences, the reactions. But I do want to kind of shift into even the unconscious. What does that mean, the unconscious body? Some would say the unconscious body is like the autonomic nervous system, right? Now we're going to get a little bit of physiology into the energy. So our autonomic nervous system has different systems in it, and so its purpose is to control and regulate our body, like our heart rate, our digestion, respiratory, urination, even sexual arousal. So all that is very much connected in the autonomic nervous system. And to get even more deeper, it is connected to certain neurons, certain smooth muscles, the cardiac muscles, and some specific glands. And you don't need to know it's working, right? This is where that unconscious piece comes in, where you're not having to tell your body, okay, heart, it's time to work. Are you working? Am I breathing? For example, those kind of parts of ourselves. We don't have to do that. And our bodies are smart. And this is where, when I take women into looking at their reproductive energy, it's like, okay, I have a uterus, I have my ovaries, I have fallopian tubes, or maybe I don't, or maybe there's, operations or things are removed. But it's like, oh, like men tuning into the sacral energy. What does that feel? What is that about? And then how does that make sense? Going, okay. And this is where I feel like, again, it gets very tricky for some women. They're like super hyper-focused, going, oh, I need to find where's my uterus in the exact moment or feeling. And I feel like it's not about that. It's more of smoothing through into the energy of your body. Like, where is your energy calling you? And just noticing that. This is why I really love body meditation. And, there's so many different ways, actually, of meditating. But meditation is really important to understand your energy field, to understand your connection with yourself, and to understand where your spirit baby is and how you're building that relationship and connection. All these different parts. It's like, it's a lot. It could be a lot. it could feel like a big responsibility or a big challenge, or, you know, or an understanding around it, the acceptance and understanding of that you are this whole being and a lot of things are happening. And so the nervous system, again, I would say on some level goes maybe on an automatic pilot, right? Or we can say the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, which is in the middle of the spine. And, you know, they're affected by our world, by energy. And in that energy, we are continuing receiving, right? Receiving, giving. And in the meditative spaces that we create, whether it's more of, you know, mindful meditation, body meditation, heartful meditation, transcendental meditation, I feel like there's so many other more meditations in there, that we are creating a certain response to our nervous system and how it's interacting with our energetic world. And so, for example, when someone is in hyper states of arousal, of stress, so stress is not a very good environment, right? Stress is not a very good environment when it comes to creation, when it comes to creating babies, when it comes to creating a lot of energy that feels positive, that feels healing, you know, and this is where the hormones come in, the endocrine system, along with the nervous system, and sometimes it takes time to rebuild that for people. And so women that are on a conception journey can really feel the intensity of that, the stress that's been put on their body over time from many different experiences, because everybody's stress is different. Someone may have a traumatic experience that was never really resolved, and that energy continues to impress and create an awareness and a connection. It's active, it's alive in the energy field. And it could definitely be something that inhibits or creates a new rerouting of bringing a deeper release around it to move into conception in a certain way. And that's more in the body. And that's also, you know, because in the conception journey, there are many different pieces to that. There's the soul of a being. There's the soul of the partnership. There are all these different pieces. But knowing where your body is really good. And knowing where your body is doesn't mean you have to be 100% understanding. And again, energy is energy. I know when I'm doing soul baby sessions that have a medical intuitive connection to it, like a really nice, long, deeper session, and I'm literally scanning the body with my eyes open or closed with my little graph of the human body, and I'm just coloring things and I'm moving because I'm seeing, I'm feeling, I'm using my energy sense to feel into people on the phone around the world, and I could just see their body, I see their emotions. It's a skill that's been put into action. And so I'm feeling and I'm drawing all these little things and densities, and it's always really, I always find it very fun when I say, okay, why is there a density in the teeth or the jaw or the thyroid? Why are these things coming up? And I feel certain energies. Oh, and some people will say, oh, I have a thyroid issue, or actually I have a jaw issue, or what is their hip? It feels like there's an injury. Like, what is that? And it's like, oh, yeah, I have an injury. So your body is sending out a frequency that there is some old trauma, and, you know, sometimes needing to be resolved, sometimes not. But there are denser energies in your body. And so when you're taking that to yourself and going where you're sitting in meditation and scanning through your body, noticing how your physiology is connected to your energy field, going, oh, look, oh, yeah, the energy does feel different here and not here. And if you're like, I don't know where energy feels like, that's when I would say, hey, go take a Reiki class, learn prana therapy, learn Qigong, learn an energy modality so you understand how to harness and be present with your own physical response to energy, because it's different for everybody. If you're a highly empathic energy person, your world is speaking to you every moment, every second. And how are you now going to do your self-care? Are you going to be taken over by all the stimulation from the world around you, or are you going to build a certain connection? I know for me, and my family knows this, I don't like to go out and do events all day. I've gotten better. I don't want to go out from 9 to 9. That is not my physical chemistry. That feels like an overload to me. That's just going to have nightmares about zombies and vampires. It's like my body needs time to kind of release, to rebuild, to be nourished. And so knowing where your energy consciousness is, knowing how you feel and connect. And again, you don't have to know every single thing that's happening in your body to be, you know, connected. You just know enough of going, oh, look, the energy feels interesting in this part of my body. What's that about? Let me see if I can move it. Let me breathe with it. What is that? And just be curious. This is what I love to teach about in a lot of my courses. Being curious. You got to be curious, because in curiosity, it builds a certain frequency. Curiosity frequency, I guess we'll call it, is it offers something different. It offers an opportunity to see where there are other layers and levels to your own expansion, really. And so how does, let's see, Spirit Baby fit into this place? You're setting up your own awareness and connection to open to whatever that is in your womb space, in your, maybe in another person's womb space. How you're building that connection and energy is really important. I do feel like when women are in conception, they can build in their energy frequency, their aura, right? They can build the pregnancy connection, whether that's in their own body or whether that is in from, again, through adoption, through another, space of connection, because there is something happening there. I know I had a session with a woman, lovely woman, quite some time ago, where I saw a baby, coming a part of her life, but I saw a baby almost being given to her from above, like into her arms from above her head, like someone was handing her a baby. And to me, it felt like, and this is where I said, you must be open to adoption, because there's this other energy coming through that feels like motherhood is there, but it may not be in the way maybe perceived, right? And so, and then she did confirm that they were open and looking. And so it was great, because opening the energy field to greater possibilities that I'm here to be a parent. How is my child showing up? That is always the hardest part, because I do know, of course, a lot of women say, well, I want my own biology, my own genetics, my own whatever. But it's unrealistic at times, because the soul is the soul. That's why souls come through birth loss with different partners. A soul of a baby through termination, through miscarriage, maybe 10 years ago, and now you're in a new relationship, you have a new connection. That soul can a lot of times be the same, taking on another genetic vehicle into this life. Again, it's a really hard understanding for some people to see the soul being the same, because what it's going to do is going to challenge, right? It's going to challenge the thought process to go, wait a second, now I have to shift back, or I don't know. It's okay to not know either. To be like, I don't know, I purely don't know, but I'll be open and listen to my personal experience and this connection to my body of consciousness and connection to Spirit Baby. And not to leave out pregnancy. Of course, in the pregnant body is a very different experience once that physiology is in action. And it's always really fun to see women that I've been supporting continuously in couples, and whether they're doing natural conception or IVF, and, they're just, are they there? What's happening? They're committing the energy. They're doing the deeper work, and they're just unfolding, and watching them move into pregnancy and then getting closer to that energy of birth is like, it's so expansive. It's like, okay, now pregnancy's here, and now what does that mean? It's like, now I'm in the beginning, and now I have to prepare and get ready for the birth and labor. It's like a whole other energy consciousness happening there. And then there's the soul of baby and their own thought process, their own experience, something to explore, like, what is their energy body? Where's the energy body of your baby? Because that's what you're really communicating with, that soul self, right? And they have history. They're not a clean slate. We used to believe that, right? Everybody comes into this world as a clean slate. But if it was only that easy. People have past lives, past issues, other lives, other realities that come into creation in this three-dimensional atmosphere, right? And this is where we get to sit in meditation and expand and see, wait, there's something so much more happening, and continuing to receive that on the journey into parenthood, whether you are in conception, in pregnancy, or healing even from birth loss. I always feel like birth loss deserves its own episodes, because there's so much energy around loss. Again, whether it's miscarriage, termination, stillbirth, even later loss, there's so much. It's so individual. I can never say that enough. It really is, as I've sat and connected and supported many women with the loss of their baby, and really looking at their own energy consciousness, looking at their own physical field, looking at how their body's response is. Yes, it is going to be different. Grief is a totally different energy. And, experiencing that heartache and loss is ongoing. This is the piece of death, right? Death. There's no closure in death. There's only transformation and growth and rebirth. But it doesn't make the loss go away, right? That's the thing. It doesn't make that feeling go away. But there is transformation that can happen with loss. And we have to be willing to step up to it, to be completely bare and raw to it. Otherwise, what happens with women I see, they go 10, 30 years later and they feel the fragmentedness, the fear, the darkness of their own shadow in a way that's unhealthy. Because you're going to say, wait a second, how is that healthy? Because there is a healthiness to a shadow, to the fear, to the darkness of we have to emerge from. But if it's debilitating and dangerous to the psyche and it's breaking the body down, then that's where I would say, okay, what is being avoided? What is not being received? And this is why we do so well in tribes, right? And community of support, whether it's, family, friendships, or even, moving out to doing other therapies or more collective workshops or retreats that are holding you accountable. That's what that is. Again, I feel like a whole other podcast on that, but I do want to interweave in here this spirit baby, your body, the physiology, and that energetic awareness. Because it really does come down to that energetic awareness, whether you're on a fertility conception journey, whether you're holding that connection of pregnancy, right? It's like, where's the energy of pregnancy and what does that birth look like? I feel like that's where a lot of the up energy goes to. And then you have a baby. So then where's that energy go to? That's the postpartum into motherhood. Now there's this being. And then that healing, that energy around, how do you now take in loss and what is the chemistry of that gets to be a part of your life, and finding the way for each individual person is so different. And so even just talking about energy, it's like there's such a hard really definition. It's like, when people say, well, how do you define spirit baby connection, or what is that like? And it's so different for everybody's own chemistry, because your physical response, your body, right, is responding to the energy around you. And I always joked that many years ago I said I felt like what I didn't realize was called like a physical empath. I was like, wow, energy moves around me so much that I know my physiological body is actually changing. And now we know that now with all the different science and with Google and the internet, we get to see people doing all these amazing studies. The documentary Heal, there's some people doing great research and studies there to bring us into this deeper, like really self-awareness of our bodies and how they do heal. And that, yes, we can do interventions and things that can be a bit of a push to shift energy, but sometimes interventions do nothing. So what does that mean? If it's so easy to take a pill or to have a surgery, then why don't I have the results from it, right? So this is where the mysticism comes in. This is where, okay, where is your soul self and where is that healing? Especially when it comes to people healing from infertility issues with reproduction stuff, like are these issues curable? Where is the eggs? Where is the sperm? Like, how are things merging? What is not working? It's a big deal. Conception, it's not just like, oh, here I'm dealing with a sickness in my body or dealing with a cancer, because then that's you individually working on that level, which I'm not going to compare those two because they're both as definitely a deeply challenging experience. But seeing, where your energy is and how it fits into your life to go, oh, this is where I'm at, and this is where energy is continuously in motion, in creation. It cannot be destroyed. So then it's recycled, it's reabsorbed, it's restructured in so many different ways. And you get to be a part of that with your body. And I do feel like, I feel like there's so many different ways to sit with your energy, to see where is your flow, where is your, impeding energy, like how are things moving in your own connection to your own consciousness. I feel like I've probably overloaded a lot of energy here around the physiology, right? The anatomy of your soul, the anatomy of our soul, and how you get to find where your self-healing looks like and how you get to expand into that, whether you're connecting with more worldly tools or more intimate, internal spiritual tools. And maybe it's a combination of both. I feel like it's never about one or the other, because as you are rising into your own conscious energy, checking in with yourself first more than anything, and then checking in maybe with partner, and then checking in with baby, checking in whether baby's in the conception energy, whether baby's in the womb space, or whether baby is in between worlds right now. And then checking into your environment. What does your environment look like? Is that helping you? Is it supporting you? How, not just the environment of like nature and pollution and not pollution and clean air and electronics and all that stuff, but also the environment of emotion. Like, how are you interacting with those things? The people in your life, the family that you're creating. You're a vibration. You're attracting and creating what you desire on a deeper level. And I know this is a very contradicting word to say that, because we can't just be victims of circumstance, right? Things happen not because we want them to, but because they're a part of our vibrational awareness. And I say that because traumatic things and horrible things happen. It doesn't mean you want them to happen, but they happen. And I do feel like when horrible and traumatic things happen, we are given an opportunity to then build change around that, then to continue to expand into another part of ourselves. And again, that's a perception of what the choice is and what we get to do next with that. So, bring that awareness in no matter where you are on your journey, and find your own way, find your path continuously, because the root of who you are is present, but you're always in newness, always in change. And so conjuring up, building that union with your baby in spirit world is present. I know some people over question, am I there, am I not there? It's present, it's happening. I've had so many babies in spirit tell me things about their parents, and some of the parents laugh actually, which is always really fun, because I'm like, why is the baby saying this about somebody, or they're talking about this place, or the babies will show me different objects or images, and of course I have to be really good at my energy reading, like what am I reading, what's happening, what am I explaining, and then sharing that almost confirmation messages. And it's been really fun in the past, I would say in the past year, really to be receiving not just many, many women in conception moving into pregnancy, which is even more incredible, but also being with pregnancy. Women are coming in pregnancy, whether they're at the end of labor and birth, or whether, they're kind of in the beginning. The beginning is always tricky, right? Because it's like, oh, that first trimester. But then that third trimester is like, oh, baby's coming, baby's building energy. Like, it's very exciting to me. It's like, what is this in-between world? What is this initiation that mother is like, this being is coming to you now? And, sometimes there's issues, right? I've had women asking about their birth experience, like, oh, well, my cervix isn't dilated, and I want this vaginal birth, and what's happening? Where are we moving? And being able to go really deep into that with some women is really quite incredible, because I'm like, I don't know where we're going with it, to be honest, but I show up for where it is. Oh, what is this energy? And I get to actually see really new things with women like I haven't seen with other people. And I know that's a part of my own perception as well as their own intuitive soul self, that we're merging together to see this greater energy and connection that's happening. And then before you know it, baby's here, getting pictures, images. I love it. I see these really healthy, juicy babies. Like, they just look so in their bodies and skin, even though they're kind of in between worlds, right? And, so seeing that relationship, that spirit baby now is embodied, like spirit baby connecting with baby in that womb. The womb is such a thin space too, that thin muscle. And then baby's here, baby's in this world. They're a part of it. And of course, sometimes there's loss with spirit baby, right? And building that connection, which I have that Facebook group called The Afterlife of Spirit Baby that allows, that space of death, of dying, of grief, of healing, and then transformation in that holding that energy, to look at that energy as its own separate energy. Will this baby come back? Why did they leave? All these very deep questions are always going to be coming up because they're supposed to. I feel like with death, it's an ongoing experience, navigation. And so bringing in your own spirit baby connection wherever you are in your journey, knowing that you are continuously in alignment with who you are, and bringing in, again, the energy consciousness of who you are and allowing it to kind of shift and move. I feel like maybe for another podcast, I'm kind of getting inspired now, is maybe we should wouldn't it be interesting to do a long meditating podcast where you can go into your own energetic process, going into spirit baby energy in a way I feel like we'll see how the space is held and where you can go and where you can allow yourself to go. Well, thank you all for joining episode 73, Spirit Baby and Your Body, the Physiology of Your Energy Consciousness. If you like my podcast, please subscribe and leave reviews.
This is Spirit Baby Radio. Thank you for joining Kelly in the energy of awareness, love, healing, and soul communication. Please join the next episode at www.soulbabycommunication.com.